Hello and welcome to the next mixed media YouTube hop. I think what I'm going to share with you today is I have this kind of eclectic group of stuff on my desk. I thought I'd make a couple of ATC cards out of it. So I actually pulled dryer lint and some dryer sheets from the trash because I've been obsessed with creating textures with dryer sheets and embossing powder. So I thought that's what I would try today. So let's push this aside and get right to work. So the first thing I am going to do is get our dryer sheets ready. So I'm going to do a couple of them just so I have some variation. And all I'm going to do, let's do one first here. Let's put this underneath so I can heat with it. I'm just going to take Versamark ink and randomly apply it to the dryer sheet. And my ink pad, yeah, it's pretty sticky. Didn't feel like there was much ink on it. Then the question is, which one of these wonderful Seth Apter, this one is not, these three are, embossing powders from Emerald Creek should I use? So I'm totally obsessed with vintage beeswax, so I'm sure that will make its way in here, but I kind of am like digging the red and the turquoise. So let's just sprinkle some of this on here and put the rest back in. Of course, my paper's super sticky, so not much is going back in the jar. Let's do some of this red. And some turquoise, which is patina oxide. Whoa, got a little heavy-handed there. All right, so I'm going to give this a heat. I'll do that off camera and I will be right back. Alright, so I'm back. So I went ahead and did another one. So this is the first one that I did on camera. Let me put it on this white so you can see. Look at that beautiful texture. And like, it's really hard when if you were looking at it really close, you can see the fibers from the dryer sheet. And here's another one I did off camera. I just used the turquoise, some of the marigold or charred gold from Emerald Creek, and a little bit of the vintage beeswax. And it was kind of crinkly when I poured it on there, so I've got this amazing organic textures from it, and I'm kind of really liking this one. I've done this on a couple of projects, and just a special tip, these get kind of sticky from the embossing ink that you use. If you just, once it's cool, just take a little bit of soapy water and kind of rub it and then dry it out, and it gets rid of most of that stickiness. But again, it's a dryer sheet, so it's meant to be a little bit wet. So the question is, which one of these do I want to use for my project? So let's see. I kind of really love those backgrounds, and I was thinking of using one of these bird images kind of on top of it, but that really hides it unless I cut out the bird from the cards, which I might do because I really like these shapes. But I do like this color. Which one do you guys think I should use? Maybe I'll keep this one for another project and go with my initial gut. So the other thing too, obviously on this craft ATC card, you can see it's kind of muted. I'm going to go ahead, I think, and paint these with just a layer of gesso, because then it will really pop like this on top of the white. So let's go ahead and paint our cards. Oops, wrong gesso. With some gesso here. Got way too much gesso for what I need. All right, let's dry these quick. All right, so I love to put these on cards and then stitch. So, so you can see how that pops a lot more on the white background. So let me go ahead and cut these out. I'll cut this one out. That will be the background for that one. And I'm already a mess and I just started my project. Let's see here. I kind of like that, I think. So I have that for another project. Go ahead and trim this up. So that will be my two pieces. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine here off camera, and I think I'm just going to stitch like a quilted pattern to it. Actually, you know what might be kind of cool here, so I don't really know what I'm doing here. You're seeing me play as I go. What if I were to take some of our dryer lint and use it as like batting, then stitch on there, because then we'll get puff marks. Let's do that. I think I'm going to do that. So let's take a little bit more here. We'll put this there, and then we'll just stitch it down. So it's going to look like a quilt on our background. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. And before I continue, I just want to state, and I'm sure most of you understand this, but what I'm doing here is obviously not fine art. It's not something that is meant to be kept, you know, hundreds of years, because I am using dryer sheets and dryer lint. It was for the sake of just creating, and it's for the sake of kind of thinking outside of the box on stuff that you may have at home to use. But okay, enough of that. Get off my soapbox. So here are my two pieces. My stitching skills are not the best, but I do kind of like how the dryer lint created that quilted feel. It is raised. I don't know if you can see that on camera. I varied the widths between my quilting lines just to create some variety to it, and you can really see the raised on here, but I think that'll be fun backgrounds for my ATC cards. So now that I have those in place, let's decide. I kind of really love that bird. I love the yellow in that bird. Let's see if we can find another one that may be complementing that bird. Maybe this brown one. I want one facing the other direction. Perhaps that one. There's that one too. I kind of like the wing pattern on both of those. So we're going to go with those. So a meadowlark and a flicker. I kind of actually hate to cut these up. These I got at a vintage store. I'm just trying to read the background of them. They're kind of cool. But you know what? Again, for the sake of art, let's do it. So, and again, I'm kind of just winging it here. I really don't know what I'm going to end up with on my cards, but I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut. I think I'll keep the name so I can use that on here, but fussy cut each one of these burrs out because the card would cover most of that background, which I don't want to do. I feel like I'm in my scrapbook days when I used to fussy cut flowers and stuff out of the pattern paper. I feel like I'm doing the same thing here. And I'm not being like super exact either. First of all, I'm impatient. And second of all, kind of like the randomness. I'm always about the imperfection. So. If you hear thunder in the background, it is storming outside today. Let's cut the name out. So if you hear thunder, that's what it is. Alright, so let's get rid of these pieces. Alright, so my little bird will end up on there. Here, let me cut the other one out just so I have them both. All right, ready. So let's go ahead and distress these while I'm thinking of it so they can sit. I'm just using Vintage Photo Distress ink, and I'm just gonna edge up the edges. That way they aren't so stark. And get rid of that white edge from the background of the card. So there we go. Oh, let's do this too. In case we use it. Okay. Alright, so now what do we do? I have some of this that I thought would be kind of fun to maybe hand stitch down on the bottoms of these to make it look like they're standing on them, perhaps. And then I have these metal numbers, which I thought were kind of fun. Oh, I need to find the letters for the name of the bird. That would be fun. Kind of don't know if I like the number, but I do like this letter. Perhaps there. Okay, I'm back. So, for the sake of keeping it real, I don't like these, and I'm having a hard time getting inspired by them. I tried adding more layers of embossing powder, different colors of waxes, and I'm not feeling these today. So I think I might put these aside. I can cut them up actually, both sides, use them for some of my mini books. Kind of like that side better right now. Or cover them completely with white gesso and start over. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the other two. Those are kind of calling me. I just have a couple of, I'm not going to use the front side of these ATC cards. They were just play from before. I'm using the back side, and I don't really care that there's stuff here. I had some of this, actually it was 2 pillow shams that I had in my fabric stash that I was going to throw away, and I just kept them because I thought it was fun. So I'm going to go ahead and put that and then put that on top. And I kind of like this color, I think, better with my birds. I think it is more of what I'm looking for. And instead of machine stitching, I'm actually going to hand stitch with some black embroidery floss. So I'm going to go ahead and separate this because I only want 3 ply. Okay. So let me get a couple clips so I can hold this together while I'm stitching it. And I'm not going to worry right now that they aren't cut exactly to size because I can trim those up once the stitching's on there. I just want to make sure that I'm fairly covering it, and I think I am on this one. So let me put a couple clips here. And all I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to do some random, not X's, but plus signs. I think that will be nice. And I like how the black looks on this because it's picking up some of the spots of black embossing powder. So this is pretty thick. I could actually go through and poke holes, probably save me a little bit of time, but I'm just going to deal with the randomness of this. Oh my goodness. And wing it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do some of these crosses on random spots on the back. And so I didn't glue down either one of these to my background, and that's okay because the stitching will hold them in place. If they get kind of loose on the edge, you can always run a little bit of Fabri-Tac adhesive around the edge just to kind of hold the edges down, because my stitching obviously is not going to go all the way to the edge. So you can see I'm just randomly placing these kind of wherever the inspiration strikes me. And right now I think, I do a lot of hand stitching anyway, and I love the machine stitching on that quilted, but I think if I had stopped on the other ones without doing, I think the thing that actually started me down the wrong path is when I edge them with the Distress ink, it started getting muddy after that point. If I kind of had left them, I think, and maybe just edged them with the gold wax, I probably would have been okay. So I'm going to take this clip off. But, you know, that's, again, part of creative play. You don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this. I'll do both of my ATC cards. I'm already liking this better. I think because the bird was such a focal point, the background was too muddy and too messy for me, because this it's much better for what I'm feeling right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish these off camera and I will be right back. All right, I am back and I stitched on both of these. And I originally was going to cut them, this one I might cut down so they were a little more even, but I kind of like this raggedness. Maybe just a little here. There. So this is going to be the backgrounds for both of these. So I think what I'm going to do is put a piece of this vintage measuring tape on it, and a piece of this leather binding, I don't know what you would call this, leather cord. I'm going to stitch this on, and I think I'm going to stitch it in wax linen thread so it really holds it on. So I can go light, and I think I am going to go light color just because I've got the black on here. So I am going to glue this down before I stitch it on though, I think. So let me cut that. And then this one will be, let me cut this off. I don't like the, this is perfect. I've had this in my stash for a while and it's going to be perfect for this. What I'm doing here. So I can keep that for a mini book. This is like perfect for a little piece in my mini books. So I'm just going to glue this down with some Fabri-Tac. And I'll let that dry for a little bit before I stitch because I don't want to deal with the wet adhesive. And this is kind of just to really to hold it in place while I'm stitching. I'm trying to get them somewhat the same here. And then I'm also, once that dries, I made these sari ribbon cords. So I think I'm going to attach that on the top. So my birds will be here. My birds will be here. Have him on his perch. And I'll probably put those on with some dimensional tape just so they pop off a little bit. I haven't decided whether I'd like, because I kind of like this underneath, but I might just stitch those on to the back so you don't see, but I kind of really do, not unless I do it up here like this. I really like that pop of blue to pull it up a little bit. I don't know, we'll have to figure that out when we get there. And then I think what I'm going to do on behind each one of these is I'm going to put a piece of this vintage trim behind each one, and that will really elongate a little bit. So if you can see here, I'm going to stitch this on. And then I'm also, for my letters, I did not have these letters in an F and an M. I have an F but not an M. But I'm going to use some of that dryer lint, and it's going to get glued and adhered down here. So again, that adds just a little bit of texture, and I think I'm going to attach that with some red wax linen thread just for a pop of red. I love reds in my projects, and I think you can't see these. I think this is what we'll go with, and kind of looking at this, these might have to go behind so you can see kind of the difference between the two. Yeah, I think they're gonna have to go, but I really do love that. Maybe instead of red, I'll use turquoise to pop that, just to kind of bring that in a little bit. And I might actually stitch these on. I could actually stitch them on the front side. I kind of do like those on the front side instead of the back side like I originally thought, and I can stitch those on too. So let these, let's see how dry these are, because I could probably stitch now. It's probably good enough. Yeah, I think so. So let me get my wax linen thread out here. And if you aren't familiar with wax linen thread, just a tip is with your fingernails, just pull off some of that wax off the edge, the end of it, and it would fit into your needle much easier. And I am going to pre-poke my, pre-poke my holes, just so, because I'm going through quite a few layers now. So this is my question. Do I want it right at top and bring it over that way, or down just a little? I kind of like it at the top where it creates a border. So let me snip this off. So let's pre-poke some holes here. I'm only going to pre-poke the top ones because I want to get that really snug against the cord, the leather cord. So I could also put a bit of fabric tack on that and let it sit for a little bit, but I'm impatient, so we're not going to do that. So my first hole is here. And wax linen thread is perfect for this because since it's waxy, it's really going to hold in and be tight. So I'm just going to do that right along here. So it's decorative and it's functional because it's holding on, holding the leather cord on, as well as being a visual image. And again, you could, if you wanted, glue down that leather cord to really hold it in before, but I'm all about not waiting. So I'm just trying to get my cord in the back. I just try to get it, you can see here where it's behind my stitches, so then that way I don't have a knot back there, because I'm going to finish off the back of these with either some fabric or a piece of like dictionary paper, just because they will be pretty messy looking, obviously on the back. And if I want these to be hung, which is my intention, I want them to look nice on both sides. I'm kind of a stickler for, when I can, to finish off backs of projects. So that's what it looks so far. My wrists are going to be shot after this project with all this hand stitching through so many layers. Every time I do a project like this where I do a lot of hand stitching, I have to give my hands some recovery time. They don't like it so much. And my needles aren't super sharp either, which it doesn't help. Okay, so you can see how I've incorporated the back end of it, so then I don't really have a knot back there, but it's secure. So I'm just going to secure that end. So that one is done. So you can see that adds a nice decorative element. It's all about these small details with these. So I'm going to do the other one and I'll be right back. Alright, so I am back and I was digging in my sari ribbon embossing thread bag, and kind of serendipity happened, and a piece of black ribbon, which I think I need to ground, and some more sari ribbon. So what I did, let me go ahead and do it with this piece. Since this lace ribbon has holes, I went ahead and laced through the top here with the same sari ribbon that I made the hanging piece with. Sorry. So it's a, whoops, I missed one. So it's a great way to build consistency through your piece. So you can see that adds, it matches, you know, the colors that I'm using here. And I kind of like how it's just fringing off the edge. But the other thing that I realized I'm going to go ahead and just cover up the bottoms of these, and it really grounds each one. So I'm going to put a little bit of Fabri-Tac down just to glue that down, and then this is going to get stitched over it. So you can see how this is really grounding it to the bottom of the piece. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's glue these down. And since I really didn't know what I was going to do, and this again is, you kind of are seeing my creative process. It sometimes takes sharp corners, sometimes you start over, which I kind of did with this, and I'm loving the end result so much more. There's no sense in forcing something that you aren't feeling at the time. And actually, I think I'm going to put just a little bit of Fabri-Tac on the back of my pieces here. And sometimes you just have to kind of, and see, I love the little pops of black that you get peeking out. So if you have seen my mini books, and that's kind of one of the things that I teach in my Mini Treasures workshop, it's those little peaks to me that really add that dimension and that interest. And it involves lots of layers. It involves knowing when to pull back. But to me, that's where the interest comes in these pieces. So I'm going to let those dry for a minute before I stitch it kind of all down. Let's go ahead and debating again whether I want to pop those off, or they're kind of already popped off if I just glue them down. I think we'll figure that out. And I think I have decided that I am going to, I think, maybe when I get it all together, I don't know why I seriously cannot decide whether I want to attach these on the front side. I keep going there, so maybe I need to just follow what my gut is telling me and just attach them on the outside. But I kind of like that clean look on the back. Oh, decisions, decisions. And then what I'm going to do for these, like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of that dryer lint, and I'm going to glue those down. So this one's going to be on this side. And then stitch them down as well. So I suppose I could let them glue while that's drying. So I'm just going to put a little bit of Fabri-Tac and just stick it on the top of my, I have never made anything with dryer lint. This is a first. You all are seeing it. Alright, so I will be back once this dries for a little bit and we'll finish this off, hopefully. Alright, I am back. I went ahead and glued this down, stitched that on both of them. So now I'm going to take my red wax linen, and I think I'm just going to do an X on that. And I love putting pops of red on projects of mine. Alright, sorry about that. My battery died. Did not realize it didn't beep at me, but I went ahead and stitched those onto the top. And I really like just, again, that little subtle of yellow. So I decided as well that I'm going to add a bead to the bottom here. So I just have a jump ring that I'm going to attach the bead to, and then I am just going to put it right through here. Whoops, did not have that tight enough. My fingers are not working today. I would normally do this just with my fingers, but these jump rings are really, really tight. So there, just a little something. And then to finish this off, I'm just going to put my little bird, and I think I am going to use some dimensional tape. As soon as I find it. Okay. I used to use this stuff like crazy when I scrapbook. Since I don't scrapbook anymore, I didn't know where I put it. I'm just going to cut that down to size, and that will just make it sit up just a little bit. And this adhesive isn't going to hold on here, so I am going to use some Fabri-Tac with it. Alright, so there is one of them complete. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off, do it like the other one, and put it all together, and I will be right back. Alright, I am back, and these are both done. I went ahead and glued a piece of fabric onto the back of them just to hide all my stitch marks, so now it can be hung up without seeing all that, but I think these turned out pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching.